Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Transmission rates of COVID-19 continue to climb across Chemung County. Amanda Decker takes a look at what the CDC is saying about cases in our area and when you can get vaccinated if you aren't already.
We are heading in the wrong direction as COVID-19 cases begin to surge across much of the U.S. That's according to the CDC, which has now listed the southern tier region as a high transmission area. The Delta COVID variant, which once only accounted for a handful of cases in the U.S., now makes up more than 80% of COVID infections across the country. And now local health officials are doing whatever they can to increase vaccination rates and decrease infection rates locally. The Chemung County Department of Social Services did close its vaccine clinics after interest began dropping off. But if you still are not vaccinated and you are eligible, there are now other options. 3 new vaccine clinics are now open, including a drive-up location at 103 Washington Street in Elmira. That clinic is open Wednesday, August 18th from 5:30 until 7:30. On Thursday, August 19th and the following Thursday, a vaccine clinic will take place from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. at Wisner Market on North Main Street. And next Tuesday, the 24th, you can get vaccinated at the East Side Market from 3 until 5. If vaccine rates continue to go up, we could start to see cases slowly go down by the time we're all forced indoors because of cold weather. Otherwise, we could be in for a repeat of last winter. I'm COVID-19 specialist Amanda Decker reporting for Big Fox News.
Starting today, proof of vaccination is going to be required at many New York City businesses. Everything from bars to restaurants to bowling alleys to gyms. Mac King has more.
I thought it was the 16th.
Unclear on when the city's vaccine mandate took effect, Gleason's gym owner Bruce Silverglade started requiring boxers arriving at his Dumbo facility show proof of vaccination a day early.
Not as much argument as I thought. About 80% of the people were already vaccinated, and we had already had their cards on file.
Some small fraction of the unvaccinated attempting to work out at Gleason's Monday left without a fight.
Actually, several of them went today and got their first shot.
But the majority of the 20% of would-be Gleason's fighters Bruce turned away expressed their dissatisfaction.
Some said they were not going to return because they don't want to get vaccinated, and others just argued, but I'm the boss.
People don't seem the happiest about it.
Bowl 360 manager Patty Marson opened these Gravesend lanes just last week and spent much of her Monday training her 12 staff members how to check the vaccination status of those arriving to bowl and how to deal with those prospective bowlers unhappy about it.
I've had a lot of phone calls already come in this morning about it.
Starting next month, businesses found not checking for proof of vaccination might face fines of $1,000 or more. Both Bruce and Patty admitted to feeling safer now that they and their employees would only serve vaccinated customers.
I'm very happy. I think it's the right thing. I think we got to eradicate this COVID virus, and the way to do it is by getting everybody vaccinated.
We do feel a little bit safer in that factor. We're a little bit nervous we're going to lose some of the client base.
I'm sorry that it's going to hurt me financially.
The New York State Fair begins this week and lasts for 18 days. Hundreds of thousands of people are expected to go, but many are wondering what's being done to make the rides safer from COVID. The director of the State Fair says the company that owns and operates the rides has put together new safety and health protocols. Abby Buticavoli has more.
Preparations are underway on the Midway for the Great New York State Fair, kicking off at the end of this week. Rides have arrived, and with them, new COVID-19 protocols.
They will get sanitized on a regular basis, if not between uses. There will be hand sanitizer out there. You can come and feel safe on the Midway. The carnival takes it seriously. We take it seriously.
This clip from a Wade Show's safety video displays what protocols might look like. Cleaning rides using a special sanitizing solution, which Wade says works up to 28 days. Frequent cleaning of rides between uses, offering touchless hand sanitizers around the Midway, and spacing out rides, people on them, and lines. Tickets and ride passes can be purchased through a cell phone app or kiosk to limit face-to-face interactions. Game equipment will also be wiped down after use, and prizes will be cleaned and quarantined before getting a new home. Employees will have temperatures checked before each shift and will be required to wear a mask or a face covering at all times. I asked Waffner if he thinks that's enough to keep people safe.
I don't think rides, in my mind, are going to be any bigger of a concern than anything else we do on the fairgrounds, number one. And, You know, sure, you can point to fairs and probably music festivals and amphitheaters as places where people congregate, and there are probably COVID positive tests that come out of that. It's true of everywhere else in life, you just don't hear of it. I mean, you go to Wegmans, you stand a similar chance of getting COVID than you do anywhere.
A new study has found that mRNA COVID-19 vaccines are well tolerated by women who are pregnant, lactating, or planning a pregnancy. The Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are both mRNA vaccines, whereas the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is not. The study was published today in the journal JAMA Network Open. Nearly 62% of the study participants got the Pfizer vaccine, and nearly 38% got the Moderna shot. After the first dose, 97% reported post-vaccination reactions similar to those seen in the general population. Less than 5% reported problems linked to pregnancy or birth after the first dose, and 7.5% after a second dose. It looks like a majority of Americans are still in favor of masks in schools. A new poll reveals that nearly 70% of Americans support local school districts requiring masks. The data comes from Axios Ipsos as states continue to battle over the limitations and ban on mask mandates. It also found that 64% of Americans support state and local governments requiring masks in public. About half of people polled said their employer is requiring masks at work, but only 16% say their employers require a vaccination. The Department of Homeland Security has a new program for migrants released into the U.S. Today, DHS announced the Alternatives to Detention Case Management pilot program. This helps migrants get important legal information and access to help, such as mental health services, human and sex trafficking screening, and cultural orientation programs. The migrants and families can use the services as they wait for the outcome of immigration cases. Congress called for DHS to develop the pilot program in its 2021 appropriations bill. Kabul has fallen, and the U.S. is scrambling to try to evacuate embassy employees and American citizens amidst chaos. But what about the people who have helped the U.S. over the years? Well, as Britt Conway reports, officials say tens of thousands of refugees could be headed our way.
In the city of Kabul, Taliban fighters are victorious, smiling. At the city's airport, scenes of fear and desperation to get out. People who helped U.S. troops and diplomats in Afghanistan are terrified they'll be targeted by the Taliban, skeptical of their assurances that people who worked with foreign forces and their families won't be harmed.
Taliban are the people that they never keep their promise.
The U.S. says it will keep its promise. President Joe Biden has directed the Secretary of State to use up to $500 million from the Emergency Refugee and Migration Assistance Fund. And people who work for U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services have been asked to help out, possibly deploying to Texas, Wisconsin, or California, where U.S. officials say they're making space for around 22,000 people who applied for an Afghan Special Immigrant Visa, or SIV.
Persons that come to these locations will have been pre-screened by the Department of Homeland Security to enter on condition of full immigration processing once they arrive.
But national security officials say there are as many as 60,000 Afghans who could qualify for refugee or SIV status, and that doesn't include their families.
These are moms and dads with little kids at their knees, and every one of them should be gotten out by us.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Some Haitians at the epicenter of the earthquake are still waiting for medical treatment after the worst earthquake to hit Haiti since 2010. Aid is struggling to reach some of the areas most affected because the roads are still impassable. Matt Rivers reports from Haiti.
Getting to the hardest hit area of this earthquake means a helicopter route 100 miles away from Port-au-Prince. Land and the reality of Haiti's latest trauma greets us on the tarmac. A waiting truck filled with people injured over the weekend, still waiting to be evacuated. First to come out, a young child held by a relative, carried into a waiting plane. Next up, an elderly woman in a wheelchair, unable to walk, lifted out of her chair. She's carried up, step by cautious step, on her way to the help that still eludes so many. Things are out of control at the hospital, he says. Not enough doctors, not enough medicine, serious injuries. We need urgent help before things get worse. At least 1,400 have been killed and thousands more injured in the worst earthquake to strike here since 2010. Not far from the airport, this is what remains of a multi-story hotel. Officials say there could still be bodies in this rubble, some here digging trying to help, others digging for scrap metal and air conditioners.
What you don't see here are Haitian authorities. There is no police presence, there's no firefighters, there are no search and rescue crews here. There's just people from the community and this lone excavator that is not currently in operation. It's very indicative of what we're seeing as we drive through this area near the epicenter.
Aid simply isn't arriving quickly. Part of the reason, blocked roads like this one, impassable for some convoys.
The response effort is taking time to actually get there. I mean, in our opinion, we should have been there already. We're getting started, but we're not satisfied.
Back at the airport, first responders desperately look for a way to get this young girl out. She's stoic, but her leg is gravely injured and she's clearly in pain. This plane is full. Another helicopter takes off without her. And so after walking around the tarmac, she's placed in another truck. A painful wait for help goes on. Matt Rivers, CNN, Lakai, Haiti.
Still ahead tonight, as more students across the U.S. return to the classroom, the battles over masks in school continue to rage on. Still, top U.S. health officials say masking is key to keeping students safe.
We have a raging pandemic, and we do know with good data that if children wear masks in school, they can be safe.
But which masks are best for kids? Hear from a pediatrician on the masks that offer the most protection for your child.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. We did have a few showers and thunderstorms today, and we are expecting more rain as remnants of Fred continue to move toward our area. There are 3 tropical systems right now in the Atlantic Basin and in the U.S., but this one is going to be of concern. Fred, as it moves to the north and east. By Wednesday afternoon, it should be moving into Pennsylvania, and that's when our rain chances will also increase as well. And out ahead of the system, we do have a flash flood watch in effect from tomorrow morning through your Thursday, and that's because of Fred, and there are some areas, localized areas, that could pick up more than 5 inches of rain. But in general, I think most of us will pick up anywhere between 1.5 to 3 inches of rain. In addition to that, there is a marginal risk for severe weather. A few thunderstorms could turn severe, and the main threats being damaging wind gusts, but there also could be hail, and we can't rule out an isolated tornado, and that includes towns of Elmira and also in Corning. So for your Wednesday, Fred will continue to move toward the northeast, again toward the Twin Tiers by the afternoon into the evening hours, and I think that's when our best chances of rain will be. Out ahead of it, lots of clouds, and that will keep our temperatures mainly in the 70s, 73 degrees at lunchtime, 74 at 2, and we'll stay in the 70s through the afternoon with the possibility of a few scattered showers and a few thunderstorms. Then later this week, we are expecting high pressure to build in. Rain chances will move on, and it's going to turn warm and humid by the end of the week. Our future radar is showing there will be a few showers in the next couple of hours, possibly a few thunderstorms as well, especially on the Pennsylvania side, that will migrate toward the New York side by the morning hours on Wednesday, and a few more showers in the morning, but then increasing rain in intensity and also a little bit more widespread by the afternoon into the evening hours. Notice the red and yellow that's showing up. That's moderate to heavy rain that will be moving through during the day on Wednesday and also on Wednesday night. By 1 o'clock in the morning, still some heavy rain from Ithaca all the way to Geneseo. That will start to move out, but we have another round of rain that will come in on a Thursday afternoon into the evening hours. So the rain chances will will be ongoing at least through the end of the day on Thursday. How much rainfall are we expecting? Elmira, possibly about 2.2 inches. Same in Ithaca, in Bath, about 1.9 inches. In Corning, about 2.2 inches as well. And so it looks like a lot of rain to go around in a matter of a day and a half. Tonight, we drop down to around 68 degrees. Highs tomorrow will be in the 70s, and then we warm up by the end of the week.
As more students across the country return to the classroom, the battles over masks in schools continue to rage on. Still, top U.S. health officials say masking is key to keeping students safe. But which masks are best for kids? Mandy Gaither has more in today's Health Minute.
For millions of students and teachers, the beginning of the school year is spelling out chaos with quarantines, temporary closures, and moves to remote learning as COVID-19 cases climb.
Talking about flying blind relative to children, we need better data, and that's got to be the basis for action.
Admiral Brett Giroir, former coronavirus testing czar under President Donald Trump, says less than half of U.S. states report the number of children hospitalized for COVID-19. Because of that, he says the state-reported numbers are unknown in some places where children's hospitals are seeing a rise in cases.
We have a raging pandemic, and we do know with good data that if children wear masks in school, they can be safe.
So which mask is best for your child? A pediatrician says one they will wear.
If your child has been wearing a mask that they love for the last year and it still fits them well with that little nasal bridge that you can pinch down and there's no gaps on the sides and it curves under their chin.
The CDC says the best masks are those made for children, and the fit should be tested regularly to make sure it fits snugly and completely covers the child's nose and mouth with at least 2 layers of washable, breathable fabric.
If you can send a few with your child every day, wash them all at the end of the day, and I think that's sort of a good routine to get in the habit of.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A county prison in Wisconsin will stop referring to people as inmates and start calling them residents. Naomi Coles explains the goal behind the language change.
How one views themselves matters.
Dane County Sheriff Calvin Barrett says the shift from inmate to resident is a policy change that sheriffs around the country are already doing.
This proactive approach to our criminal justice reform is going to allow us to help move towards a 21st century policing mindset in which we treat everyone within our community with dignity, respect, and humanity.
He says it's part of an evolving set of policies designed to humanize and respect the jail population.
So changing the name of inmate to residents give people a sense of belonging.
State Representative and Dane County Supervisor Sheila Stubbs says this is a shift she supports dating back to her own time as a parole officer.
When we give them a place of belonging and we call them residents instead of an inmate, or call them resident instead of offender, because they may have offended one person, but doesn't mean they've offended everyone.
Language is important to the new sheriff. For example, the term peace officer. The Dane County Sheriff's website was updated to read, quote, the largest peace officer agency in Dane County. That's a change from, quote, the largest law enforcement organization in Dane County. I found that on an archived website version from April under Dave Mahoney's tenure.
As a sheriff, are working towards ensuring that everyone in our care is in a facility and in an environment that is treating them with dignity, humanity, and respect.
A historic jump in food stamp benefits for millions of Americans who rely on them. The Biden administration has announced an increase of more than 25% above pre-pandemic levels, the largest jump in the program's history. And as Stacey Cohen reports, the boost comes as a temporary increase of 15% was set to expire at the end of next month.
A major boost for struggling families. Food stamp benefits are jumping 27% above pre-pandemic levels, the largest increase in the program's history. For food stamp recipients, the program has been a lifeline.
It was, life or death. We were either going to starve or we were lucky enough to qualify for SNAP benefits.
The Department of Agriculture, which oversees the program, made the announcement Monday. The agency says under the permanent revision, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, the formal name for food stamps, would add an average of $36 per month per person. Beneficiaries received $121 per person before the coronavirus pandemic. The USDA says their priority is making sure their resources are reaching those who need it most.
making sure that we are meeting the needs of families with very young children. That is just critically important for today and our future.
The economic impact of the pandemic sparked a jump in food stamp participation as hunger grew nationwide. The USDA says about 42 million people were enrolled in the program in May, up from nearly 37 million in February 2020. Those who rely on federal assistance say the extra help has gone a long way to helping them put food on the table, especially with inflation and rising cost of groceries.
I am a real person who had a real job, and now I need help so that I can provide for my children during this hard time.
I'm Stacey Cohan reporting.
As the COVID-19 Delta variant spreads, the National Park Service announced Monday it is immediately enforcing new mask rules. Visitors, employees, and contractors are now required to wear a mask inside all Park Service buildings and even in crowded outdoor spots. The rule applies regardless of a person's vaccination status or transmission levels within the community. The Park Service said it is following the latest science and guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the new requirement is in effect until further notice. 4 golfers from Wisconsin experienced one of Mother Nature's rarest occurrences. Gretchen Gerlach caught up with one of them who says he had no idea a tea time would turn dangerous in a flash.
Tim Hankey likes to stay busy.
I work a lot.
When he's not tending to his hobby farm, he's driving semi-trucks around the Midwest. But a once-in-a-lifetime accident has recently slowed him down.
First 4 holes went well. Get to the 5th one, it started misting a little bit, and then heard one crack, and then I woke up face down.
Tim, his son Jackson, his uncle, and cousin were the ones in that 1 in 500,000 chance.
Craziest thing in my lifetime, and I'm 38.
Struck by lightning while teeing off at Big Fish Golf Course in Hayward last week.
I was in pain, couldn't breathe, and it's the worst feeling I've ever had.
The group was tracking a storm an hour away, but besides overcast weather, they had little indication lightning would strike.
It was just one blimp, and it was gone. And then it was rain for about 5 minutes afterwards when we were laying on the ground, and then it was cleared up.
All 4 were rushed to a local hospital with leg pain, trouble breathing, and vision issues. Tim and his cousin later transferred to a hospital in Minnesota for specialized care.
It just doesn't happen. You go to the doctors, and both hospitals I went to, they're like, we've never treated a lightning strike patient. It literally looked like a purple marker was drawn in my veins.
Now taking it easy at home, it's Tim's heart that doctors are monitoring.
I'm still waiting for my ability.
Spirits high, all things considered, he's hoping to receive a positive prognosis at the end of the week and return to the road by the weekend. But he's not rushing a return to the golf course anytime soon.
If it's cloudy out, I ain't doing nothing outside.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. Zoo officials in Ohio are going high-tech in hopes of getting hands-off. The Cincinnati Zoo's Center for Conservation and Research of Endangered Wildlife is using infrared thermal imaging in hopes of remotely assessing animal health. The tech allows them to collect body temperature and heart and respiration rates, and all from a distance. They're hoping to test and collect data from 50 different species, and if validated, not only establish non-invasive health screenings for zoo animals, but potentially use aerial drones to gain basic health metrics of wild animal populations. Sounds pretty cool. From our whole team, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great night.